What's up? Carl Shepard here. I hope you are doing well. This is going to be episode 16. And what I've done here is recorded myself doing the first of 5 CrossFit open workouts. The new CrossFit workout gets announced each week on Thursday. Best case scenario is to do the workout over the weekend after the announcement. It took me a little longer this time just because of how our schedule worked out, but I'm glad to have gotten it done. It was challenging. I was happy to stick to my game plan, and that worked out well. And it was pretty fun. I also did jiu-jitsu this morning, so today's been a really high output day. You'll see me starting the clock over there. The official rules of the recording have to be that the clock is in the camera and all the movements are in the same camera stream, and that it's uncut, and that you show the weights in the beginning. And I wanted to do this correctly, even though that there will be no need for me to post it. As far as the official score goes, my time is not necessarily competitive, but it's just a good reason to make a video, good piece of experience to have. So as you can see, the first movement in the workout was power snatch, 8 of those each round, and then 10 of these bar facing burpees is one round. And the workout requires you to do 10 rounds or work for 15 minutes. If you can't get the 10 rounds done in 15 minutes, then your score is the total amount of reps you were able to get done. And then if you finish the 10 rounds, your score is how long it took. So this is the scaled version of the workout. The difference between the scaled and the RX version is the weight. This is 65 pounds, whereas 95 is the top weight. And on the burpees, the difference is in these, you'll notice I'm stepping over the bar, whereas in the fully prescribed workout, you have to step up to the bar and hop over with 2 feet leaving the ground and connecting to the ground on the other side at the same time. I do the scaled versions of the open workouts, number one, because I usually just barely get done even the scaled workouts, and also because many of the movements in the open tend to be just higher skill level, more complicated. And right now, since CrossFit is not my main focus, this just seemed correct to do, and I was glad I did it because, as you'll tell, I barely get finished. I knew I wouldn't because I've seen so many other people do this one already, and the whole game plan was to start slow and stay smooth and just try to make my rounds all the same. Try to make my first round about as fast as my last round, and just stay consistent, stay moving. And I feel like I did that. Anyway, as far as the rest of the check-in goes, I did jiu-jitsu earlier today. I only rolled twice after the training portion of the class, anticipating that I was going to end up doing the open workout, so that worked out well, and I'm happy that did work out. So as far as my intake goes, I've been extra careful about my diet because I've got this competition coming up on November 3rd. I need to weigh 207.5 pounds in my full gi and what I'll be competing in. That's not going to be hard to do considering I'm pretty much there now, but I just want to make sure that I'll be as close to the 207.5 as possible, and also feeling nice and strong and energetic on the day of. As for mood goes, it's been another fantastic day in that realm. I really feel like I'm having some really consistent days. I've been getting a lot of positive feedback, and I'm just happy for that. I'm grateful. The sleep portion has been all right. It really just is not going to be normal anytime soon. My wife will be going back to work here within the next week or so, and that's just going to put me up in the middle of the night with my son even more and more, which is totally fine. I welcome that responsibility and cherish, my role in that way. So, other things I've been thinking about lately, I've been trying to redesign the way that I think throughout the day. I know that I like to think in a way a lot of times that doesn't produce thoughts that are easy to speak on or to articulate. And this project has been good because it has forced me to take my thoughts and go an extra step with them. In real time, I've been catching myself and thinking, well, I like that idea, but how would I say it out loud? How would I turn that thought into language? And I realized that that's not an intuitive step that people take. A lot of people's thoughts flow through their head in such a way that is not able to be spoken. And this has been a good practice for really being able to dissect my own thought process. One thing also that I've noticed is when I have really good ideas, I always think to myself, oh, I need to remember that, or, oh, I'll use that when the time comes, and then I just can't, pull it back up in real time when I need it in my own memory. So what I have taken to doing is writing as much things down as I possibly can as I think about them. And so one thing I wrote down earlier today, in hopes of speaking on in this video, has to do with priorities, discipline and priorities. There's a list of things that we all want to do, and then there's this other list of things that we all know we should be doing to produce the best possible results for our days and for ourselves and for our families. And between the things that we want to be doing and the things that we know we should be doing to produce the best results, that list doesn't always match up. And I have a feeling for a lot of us, those are almost two completely different lists a lot of times. And so that's where discipline comes in. That's where commitment and dedication come in. And I think it's in the difference between those two lists that we are given an opportunity to prove our character, or to build onto our character, or to define ourselves. Every time we make a decision, based on what we feel like doing in the moment, or what's going to maybe, relieve our stress, or be easier or whatever, that's fine. But the more and more that we drag ourselves away from what we maybe should be doing to produce those best results, part of what it does is makes it easier to make that same lesser decision the next time and the next time. And so, what I have resolved to do in my own life is just to stay constantly fighting that battle, constantly asking myself, is my plan one that is going to produce the best results for myself physically, psychologically, and in my personal relationships that I care the most about? And furthermore, it puts me in a battle where there can be compromise. Sometimes maybe I will know what I want to do, and then I know what the very best possible thing I could be doing, is that maybe seems unrealistic in that moment. Maybe I need to compromise. Maybe it's, a meal, or maybe it's, that I've got a whole bunch of yard work to do, but there's only half the time. So I've got to compromise on choosing what I'm actually going to be able to get done in that moment. But just because the plan maybe isn't perfect, or maybe just because I'm not going to be able to do exactly what I would like to do to be, perfectly efficient, it doesn't give me any room to throw it all away and just say, oh, well, since I can't do exactly what I should be doing, then I'm just going to give in and make this time all about what I want to do. There's always a way to, move that needle towards, a better self, or towards, just not giving in to those lesser thoughts and urges. So, I don't know. Anyway, that's just something that it really has to take place for personal growth. If you are constantly making excuses or procrastinating or giving yourself a lot of downtime, it only makes it easier to continue doing that. It makes it easier to stay in that same pattern, And each one of those decisions to waste time only reinforces or makes it easier to do it again. I know a lot of times people get in that thought process where they'll say, well, I'm giving myself this time now so that I'll, recharge myself, or so that I'll, have the headspace to be able to make these better decisions sometime in the future. But then, be honest with yourself and say, does that time really come? Do those lesser decisions really produce that moment in the future where you can finally do the right thing? Or, is it something that once you start doing the right things more and more, does that just perpetuate, an environment where it's easier to make the next, best decision? I know for me, the things I used to want to do versus the things I knew that I needed to do to get to a better place were very different, and they were very they built on themselves. I would do the wrong thing thinking, oh, well, this is what I'm going to give myself so that I can do the right thing later. And then that just never came. But once I started doing all the right stuff, then these ideas of maybe what I could get away with, or what I could, enjoy, they just started going away, and then that needle gets moved, and then all of a sudden, a couple of years can pass, and the conversation is just completely different in your head. The things that you want to do are just healthier and healthier and more aligned with your vision of your best self in the future. And then that vision of your best self can change and grow and evolve and become more clear, and it really just builds on itself. So I'm here advocating to just get started and just stop giving yourself excuses, and never ever ever put your happiness or the reason why you're not doing those best choices outside of yourself. Thank you, and that's going to conclude this episode. I will see you tomorrow.